Hey. Welcome to the Shake Up with Dr. Kit. Today is Monday, April 15th. Now, everybody needs to know what Monday, April 15th is. It's got to be one of your favorite days of the year. It's when we do our taxes. Some of us are getting back, some of us are paying out, and the rest of us are paying out and getting back. Okay, so listen. If you have not done your taxes, you better get out there, put it in there before the 12 o'clock deadline. Is it 12 o'clock deadline? I don't know what it is, but get it in there, okay? Now, this is the 15th. So I wonder what else is going on out there. Anything else special going on out there tonight? I don't know if there's anything else special going on out there tonight, but if there is, enjoy. Hey, and this is the Shake Up with Dr. Kit, 6 p.m. Central Time here in Huntsville, Alabama. Glad to have you all online with us this evening. We have a very, very special, super show for you tonight, and an amazing guest. I don't want to give it away, but guests will come on and introduce themselves. See, I'm trying to keep it so you don't understand or kind of jump the gun on me, So guests will come on, introduce themselves on the Shake Up with Dr. Kit. Now, listen, here's what we want you to do. In order for this show to continue, and it is continuing because the numbers are looking good when we look out there, it's to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Like, follow. Listen, you have to like me. Just like the show. Forget about me. Just get on. Let's do the show. Okay, like, follow, show, share, and subscribe. But please like me too if you're so inclined. Okay, all right. And because we do a lot of good things, and we also want you to be considered for be a guest on the show. Please contact my office where my team will answer at drkidspeaks@gmail.com. We'd love to have you on. You can come on either on the show or you can come on kind of just blind, behind the scene. We just do you audio, and that's okay with us because here's the deal. It's not a fashion show. It's what you have like right here that you want to share with us. That's what's important. So just come on, okay? And everybody's got something to share. It doesn't matter where where you come from in life, your situation in life. You got something special that everybody want to hear. Okay, so just consider that. Okay, all right. Enough said on this April 15th tax day. I just had to remind you that again. Okay, all right. So here we go. All right. So we have a really good show, but before we get to the show. On this Friday, my wife and I will be leaving for the big Houston, Texas, where we will be a part of a relationship brunch down there in Houston, Texas. And we just want to let you know that relationships are so important that we're going to go all the way down there and do it. They invited us to come down. And we are basically going to talk about this whole thing about relationship from many various ways. Okay, I think it will be aired, or you can follow it on YouTube. So just check in on that. Okay, and we'll be happy. We'll be at the Hyatt Regency, Houston West. All right, so just come on down if you got nothing that you want to do, just come on down, join us down there, and if not, just join us on air. All right, and then on the 27th of this month, we will be semi-local. We will be in Birmingham, Alabama, and we will be again, I'll be a part of the Black Men's Mental Health Conference down there, and you're going to hear more about this as we go through this evening's show, this evening's program. We're going to hear more about it, but as you can see, we have a number of very good, well-known and noticed professionals. Okay. And they just asked me to be a keynote speaker down there, and I'm looking forward to that, to be in the company of some of these other great man, and we have a wonderful lady there with us too. So we're just looking forward to all of this. Okay, so listen, enough. Okay, I don't know if you heard anything I said, but there'll be a men's blood because technology is kind of crazy. I kind of did something. I don't know what I did, but I went out, came back in, and I was muted. But now I'm good again. All right, now I'm good again. So here we are. I'm just welcoming you to of course, the weekly shake up with Dr. Kit. All right, so we're just going to go right into we're going to go right into this, and hopefully we can right this ship and just move forward. Okay, so tonight we have a wonderful guest with us, and it looks like we might be having some more technical difficulties here, but I do have a guest, so I'm going to talk you through this while we kind of get things straight right here. Okay, here she is. Okay, here she is. Here she is. Here she is in all her beauty. She's here. Oh, listen, I almost said your name. But like with me, I like my guests to introduce themselves because you listen, a lot more about you than I can ever know. Okay, so welcome to the Shake Up with Dr. Kiss. Good to see you. Good to
Good
see
to
you.
see you. Thanks for
All
having
right, listen. I'm just so happy that to have you on the show, and we're talking about some stuff. So I'm going to let you go ahead, introduce yourself, and also talk about. And we'll get into the show in just a little bit, but go ahead and talk and introduce yourself. Okay.
So my name is Camillia Harris, and I'm joining you on behalf of the Just Us MH Foundation. I do mental health advocacy work, and as you indicated, we'll get more into that. But I love what it is I'm doing. I arrive right at my purpose, and so I'm excited. I'm
All right.
excited.
And we're glad to hear you. We're Now, can you talk about this foundation? Can you just let us know, because behind every foundation there is a purpose and a reason and a cause, and good people. So can you talk some more about that before we kind of get into some of the other stuff that we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called the Just Us MH Foundation, and some people will ask, well, where did that name come from? And so,
Yes, yes.
so small little quick story. When as I was navigating through my own pain, I decided to create a. My goal was to create a mental health app where individuals could give indication of what they may be experiencing by way of an emoji. And so, with that emoji and with the whole reasoning behind Just Us, part of the purpose was to make sure that we reignite trust and we reignite unity in seeking help. And so, one of the things that I know and a lot of people have realized is that there is trust that has been lost when it
Mm.
comes to seeking mental health, whether that be with friends, families, doctors, whatever the case may be. So, the name Just Us was meant that no matter who you go to or no matter what kind of help you seek, that the conversation will stay between just us, right?
Oh, I like
However,
that. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
however, in the midst
Yes.
of doing that, I heard God saying, "No, I'd rather you gather." I heard Him say, "Gather," and so so I pivoted from the app and to put on I decided to put on a conference that would gather the masses, both men, women, and mature teens, and we would talk all things mental health.
Okay.
And
All
little
right.
old girl from Ohio, I didn't know how it happened, but it has, and it has been flourishing, and I'm excited.
Okay. Now, how long you been doing this?
When I kicked off Just Us, I would say that would be in about 2022. However, I kicked off the first conference in April of 2023.
Okay, and so where was that, and how did that go? Now, is that was your first conference? Is the Birmingham one going? Is that going to be your second conference, or have you done more in between?
I've done more. So the first conference kicked off April of 2023 in Dayton, Ohio, where I'm born and raised. The next one was in Atlanta,
Kind of a
Georgia.
partial to where you're born and raised, huh? Okay, I understand. I got it. I got it.
The next one was in Atlanta, Georgia, where I currently reside. And
Okay.
then the third one was in Houston, Texas. And just this past Saturday, we kicked off our second annual in Dayton, Ohio.
Wow. My, you've been busy.
I have.
But now, you're either just tired and wore out, or you got yourself a good team working with you. How is that working for you?
I got a team. I got some volunteers,
Good.
and it's working. And family chimes in greatly. Family and friends chimes in greatly. So it's been a blessing. It's been beautiful. Even in some of my days of exhaustion, the day of execution is all God. It's an
Mm,
amazing feeling. So
mhm. Of course, it's a kind of a you know question I'm asking you here. You would like to encourage a lot of people to come out to your conferences, right?
yeah, it's important, right? It's important that we come out as a community and
Yeah,
we talk about this taboo topic that especially exists in the Black culture.
yeah.
It's been one of those conversations that we just don't talk about. It's been shied away from, and it's been a damper in our culture, and it's prevalent now. It's necessary now, and these conversations are so important.
Okay. Now these these conferences,
Mhm.
it says black man mental health, but black men are not here all by themselves. Black men are in relationships with parents, significant others, children, with the workplace, the church, and most significantly, the relationship that the black men have with the self.
Yeah,
Can you
absolutely.
talk about some of these areas where black men have, significant relationships, please?
It's interesting you say that. I think the saying behind every black man, I like to say beside every amazing king is a queen, right?
Oh yeah, listen to you now. Okay.
So it's so interesting because I think men tend to seek counseling by way of their significant other. I don't think men just typically raise their hand and say, hey, today I'm going to go to counseling. It's always something tragic. It's always something affiliated that's right in the midst of the relationship that
Mm,
draws them near towards counseling,
okay.
maybe to savor the relationship, whether that's with their family, with their significant other, problems in the workplace. So it's always something that pushes a man towards seeking help. But wouldn't it be just so amazing if that man just realized himself and he decided upon himself for self care, right? And taking that opportunity and seeking counseling, seeking that open door, that safe place to land where you can go and share how you feel, what you've been through, what you may be experiencing. It's just healthy. I think we
Mm,
pride ourselves so much on being physically healthy, but we forgot to salute and celebrate being mentally healthy. And that's where we've come to now. And that's what Just Us MH Foundation is about.
okay. Well, since we're kind of going down that road a little bit, and I noticed, and you talked about that men don't necessarily just really say, "Hey, look outside the window. Hey, man, it's a great day to go see a counselor." They don't do that, right? You
Absolutely.
say it comes by way of some encouragement from a concerned significant other, female most of the time. So, with that said, do you encourage females to come to these black men conferences so that they can hear and understand not only their significant other, but get a global cultural picture of mental health in the black male community?
Absolutely. So the wonderful beautiful thing about this is, although the specialty, I like to
Yeah.
say, is Black men, it's
Yeah.
open to both men, women, mature teens,
Okay.
any race. It is not specifically, the invite is not just for the Black race, it's for all races, right? Because
Mhm.
our Black men are not just married to Black women, they are married to
Right.
other cultural races of women. They are in the workplace with other races. It's just the totality of the Black man. But one thing I've come to learn is that everyone else wants to tell the story of a Black man instead of the author himself, which is the Black.
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
so I have created this platform along with God so that Black men can have a voice and that you can hear from them their trauma. You can hear from them what they experience. You can hear from them how they deal with things, what they haven't received as a child, fatherless households. It's so many variables that are tied into the Black man that most people don't know and most people don't understand. And that's what this platform with conferences is for.
Okay. I thank you so much, but I'm going to kind of just say something here. It seems to me
Mhm.
that you have all of these reality, not just anecdotal stories. If you were to gather some of those, you could write a book about every one of these conferences you put on. You could have a book. And because we're talking, you're right, because we're talking about Black men, none of their stories would be a replication of somebody else's story. So now, Miss Author in the making, or as going to add another book to your collection, let's talk about. And one reason I'm saying this, okay, it would be good for people who did not make it, could not make it, was not at a financial space, a spiritual space, an emotional space to want to come and hear somebody else's trauma or story when they're going through their own. Well, they read this thing. What do you think about that?
Well, believe it or not, it's not a sad day, right? This past Saturday in Dayton, Ohio, man, if you could have heard the voices of these kings speak and
Yeah.
just the questions that they're asked and their responses, I don't care if I put 50 men on a panel, their responses will always differ because everyone have their own journey. We all have our own individual footprint. And just hearing these men respond and give indication to their own upbringing and the things that they have, the voice that they have in their life, it's just so different. It's
Okay.
one to be reckoned with. It's an amazing day. Even if you shed a tear, it is a tear of joy. It is a tear of recognition, isn't it? It's a tear of empowerment. When you come, you're uncertain. When you leave, you're very sure.
Yeah. Since you talked about tears, this past weekend we were studying some lessons at church, and we were talking about tears, about people crying, and the whole idea came out that some of the most significant tears are never seen because it doesn't flow down your face. You're crying deep on the inside to the point where you can't even have tears coming down your face, and 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 I'm kind of supposing that maybe some of our young Black men, not only young Black men, but grandfathers who are thinking about how they did or didn't do, fathers, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, whoever, when there is and what I call a burden bearer, all of these people are burden, not burden, symptom bearer, then the rest of us become symptom sharers, symptom sharers. And the symptom sharers all have, we all have our own stories as symptom sharers, all of us. And I'm pretty sure they talk about some of those things in the conferences, right?
You're right. So it's funny you say that. One of the questions that was asked to the panelists this past weekend was, why is it that we hear real men don't cry and boys don't cry? Why does that exist in the Black culture and how do we eradicate it? And so, just speaking on what you just said, it is so important because a lot of men, they
Mm.
cry internally because they've
Yeah.
been told they can't cry.
Yeah.
And I've always said in some of my past conferences, growing up, I never understood why I was allowed to show my emotions, but the males in my family had limited time to share theirs, right? And those hidden feelings turn into broken men,
Mm.
i.e., one of the reasons when I heard my father cry, it was 72 hours before he committed suicide. And
Mm.
that's the unfortunate direction a lot of our men are going into. They've reached this place of explosion because you have so much coming in and you never had the opportunity to pour it out. And when it pours out, it comes in a form of explosion, domestic violence. And that's what these conferences is about, letting our men know that it is okay to cry. It is okay to not be okay. It is okay to seek help. Even if that's a personal confidant, you have to share. You have to get out your feelings and let them be heard and expressed.
Hmm.
And so hearing the gentleman's response to Real Men Don't Cry and Boys Don't Cry, it was so moving. It was moving to hear that. Because even though I put on these conferences for men, Dr. Kit, I'm learning every conference. I'm hearing something different every single conference. I have brothers, but I'm a woman too. And so I date, I have a significant other. So it helps me understand man, period. And there is a significant difference between how men and women share their emotions. And so it's been amazing.
Hmm. Listen, listen, you're getting some really good comments here. Go ahead, listen, read that. Listen, go ahead. Said, I've been to one of the conferences and it was great information. Thank you, Tamika. She's basically validating the fact that women need to go to these conferences, you know.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I love what you said. Well, I shouldn't love it, but what you said, it is so true. Our your brother was told, don't cry. And you're right. When young men don't cry and evacuate the stress that they have internalized over, it only serves, you can listen. It's like having an emotional backpack. You can only put so. It's not like having a back. You can only put so much inside there before you explode. You know, and so when you explode, and it's something that explode, it it is it doesn't discriminate against who, what, when, where, or how.
Yes.
So anybody that's in the vicinity is going to get that. And so we have these young men. You internalize this stuff, and at some point, when you explode, then they say, listen. Then that's when they start to label our young black men, and you know what it is when you label your young black man, you do what the label is powerful. And so these young black men, they start acting out. And the sad thing about it is there are young black men who want to be mentored, who don't want to do those things, but they find themselves doing some of the things that they've been labeled to do.
Absolutely.
You know.
And I feel one of the things that exists in the mental health field is there's not enough of psychologists, psychiatrists that look like us, right?
Mm.
And so our black men, there's a fear that exists that keeps them from seeking help, from having a stigma attached to them, given the indication that they may be weak. I think one of the main reasons why it's so important for women to be at these conferences
Mm.
is because the safest places that some of them have is their significant other whom they are with, whom they lie down with. And if they don't feel safe enough to express it with you, then they won't express it to others. But you have to make them feel safe. You have to know what it is when a man cries. You have to know
Mm.
what it is when he shares those internal feelings that are deep and nobody else has heard.
Mm.
You have to make him feel comfortable knowing that I can share and it doesn't go outside of you and I. So there's so many barriers that we have to knock down to get our black men back to feeling safe and knowing that there's a trust that has been created for them to just exist. One of
Right.
the men, one of the men at the conference this past weekend said, men have always put themselves second. they're taught to be the providers, the protectors. So when you're providing, you're second. When you're the protector, you're second. But they've never had enough time period for themselves to just exist because they're always putting everyone else first.
Mm.
And it's so interesting. It's sad, but I have to say it. But as I do these conferences, as I meet with the amazing gentlemen that sit on these panels, I realize out of all the many years that I've lived, because I don't want to give my age, my dad.
Okay, I'll tell him. 21.
21. That sounds good.
Okay.
My dad in his 60s, I never asked him, was he okay? Because I always thought men were okay. It's been conditioned in us to think that men are supposed to be okay because they're the strength. They're the head of the household. They embody and empower. They have power. And so asking them, are they okay, is unnecessary because they're supposed to be. That is a known notion that exists, I can say, in our culture, but probably in many. Men take on a lot, and they don't often get an opportunity to unpack it. So, yeah, just hearing that this past weekend and at the various conferences, I realized, man, I never asked. I just never called him up and said, Daddy, are you okay? I'm always, Daddy, hey, we got to get the next house, But it's important that we check on each other. It's important that we check on our strong ones, which is our men.
Yeah. Well, it's and what you're saying, that it just came to me, okay, ironically, these conferences are sometimes the only opportunity some women have to hear the hearts of men without men being beat down about expressing themselves. Thank you so much for that. That's a very insightful statement you just made right there, Makita. Yes, you have to make them feel safe. And a lot of times our young men don't feel safe. And what happens here when people don't feel safe, I'm going to say this. Listen, most of the time when a dog is going to bite you.
Oh, yeah.
No. You know why most of the time a dog will bite you, but don't bite their owners? Because with their owners, they feel safe. With you, the stranger, they don't know. They go into self-protective mode. A lot of times when our young men explode because we don't feel safe, and we have to go into confrontational mode or defensive mode or attack mode in order to preserve the self. So that because we're not feeling safe. Now, I want to say this. I'm not saying that we have the right to do those things.
Correct.
But I'm just saying, as an outgrowth. Before you respond, let me just say, I had to learn to control the explosion because I see what that does, i.e. jail. And let me just say, keep that up there for a second. Keep that. Jail, okay, just alienates you from yourself. Yeah, you know what I said? It alienates you from the most important person in your life, which is yourself. And when you are self-alienated, you have difficulty attaching yourself to other people, okay? Jail, domestic violence, a record. So some go to drugs instead of crying. So it's a cover-up instead of the blow-up. Ooh, thank you. Two bites of the best. Can you respond to that, please?
Yeah. So
It's right up your alley. Come on.
It's easy to pacify the pain. It's easy to hide the pain. It's easy to put on a mask and go out in front of the world and act like everything's perfectly fine. It's when you're alone that you have to deal with what you're really feeling and what you're really experiencing. And that is true what Tubai said. They turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs, they become violent. And not just men, this is anyone that's experiencing internal pain, whether that's depression, anxiety. One of the biggest misconceptions is that everybody understands and knows what mental health concerns or issues are. And that's one of the biggest things that we bring with the conference is knowledge, right? It's important that, where the Bible said, where there's a lack of knowledge, my people will perish.
People perish.
Yeah. And if there's no education first before trying to lead someone into counseling, then there's no healing. So it's important to promote awareness. You have to know, you have to have some type of inclination of what am I feeling? What am I experiencing? I say this all the time. One of my panelists said it this past weekend. If you live long enough, you will have some type of mental health concern. It doesn't mean that you'll have a diagnosis that labels you with a mental health condition, but you will have some type of mental health concern. Responding, how you deal with it, how you get through it, all of that is important. But I think that comes with awareness, that
Mm,
comes with education, that comes with knowing, that comes with knowing what the resources are that are sometimes right in your backyard. And
mm,
so that is very true what he said. Most
mm.
people will just turn to alcohol and drugs. Even during COVID, of all the places that was closed, you can still go get alcohol.
Oh,
It's unfortunate, but a lot of
the
people turn.
proverbial anesthesia, right? Mm-hmm.
There it is. You hit it on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Hit it on the nose. And I think the biggest thing we can do is to unite and come together and communicate better and share and have these moments like this where we take the mask off, we uncover the band-aid, and we start talking real life. I don't know why not talking real life is taboo, right? One thing I can say is 20 years ago, these kind of conversations will probably not even be taking place
Oh,
because there's so many secrets in our ancestors. There's just
mm-hmm.
so many secrets. And we've reached this time and place in our life where we have, as a community, as a nation, we have to talk about these unforeseen circumstances that's debilitating our culture,
Mm-hmm.
that's taking away our men, and we have to talk about it now.
Yes. Listen, I just applaud you so much, Camilla, because this is a yeoman's job a pun right there, but your person's uh, responsibility that you're taking on to say, listen, I just cannot be satisfied with like dead wood floating down the stream, because every dead wood floating down the stream is dependent on the current and the direction of the stream for which to go. So we got to teach our men to swim upstream like the sockeye salmon against the current. And I think though, you can respond to this. They need to come to your conferences to hear how to do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, you know, relatability is important in life. I
Yes.
think when both men, women, and these mature teens come to the conference, when you can sit across from another king, when one king can hear from another king,
Mm,
it's an exchange of permission to be free. When you have the opportunity and you hear someone else that you may look up to or you may admire and they become naked in front of you, it gives you permission to be free.
mm,
It gives you permission to say, you know what, me too. I've experienced that too. I'm going through that right now, or I've been through that. And let me tell you how I've gotten through it, how I've gotten over it, and how I've gotten become better, become a better man, learn how to manage my emotions, learn how to
mm,
respond. And I think that these are all natural contributors to just learning how to live mentally healthy. It's one thing to live alive, and it's another to live dead. And we are
mm.
there's so much exposure in this world. There's enough attacks against us, and I think it's important that we embody each other and we connect the chains that allows us to just live free and have a purpose driven life where we're mentally healthy first, because you can be physically healthy all day long. i
Yeah.
heard I heard TD Jake say one time, you don't get to take a PTO day when life happens.
Yeah.
And it's just so true. You have to learn how to live through the pain, live with it, and still navigate on being the best person, the best self, the best version that you can be.
Mm. Thank you for that. So often I hear people say, I just didn't know.
Hmm. Yeah.
I just didn't know. People seclude themselves, but we don't try to ask, well, how are you? You don't have to get into their business. How are you? How are you? And sometimes we then go through the pain of loss, and that is something to, to deal with. Let's go through that. But yeah, okay, Dr. Kit, what is your suggestion for women to create a safe space?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Tamika, yeah. Listen, listen. For women to create a safe space, well, let me tell you this. I think in order for a person to create a safe space, they need to be internally safe themselves. Okay, you can't be questioning yourself if you want to create a safe space. So the idea here is to build up your own internal strength so that wherever a person needs some help, you can be there for that person. It's okay for women to be strong, because I'm gonna tell you, that women are emotionally strong. I mean, like robust people. That you really are. Women are so strong, but we tend to look at women as the second gender, the salutatorians, if you please. They're never right up front, and we just cannot live without our women. Our women are very important. So creating that safe space too is when you become vulnerable and say, listen, I too am going through stuff, but I have decided to go down this road and not that road. And then invite them, walk with me. Walk with me down my road. And let me tell you about something about me that makes them feel safe. Another active part of safety is to feel valued. When they feel valued by somebody, they begin to feel safe on the inside, that they are not who they are told that they are. So these are all just some little things about feeling safe. Okay. So Tamika, I thank you. I thank you about that. And you want to add anything to that, Camilla? Yeah.
Oh, I think you hit it right on the nose from a
Mm.
man's perspective. I think oftentimes women, we tend to think we actually know.
Mhm.
And so what you just delivered upon is actually true. It's a lot more simpler than it is. It's a
Yeah.
lot more simpler than it is.
One of the things to thank you for that question. Listen, one of the things that I'm thinking about here is that there is a misunderstanding between mental health and mental illness. And I think a lot of time when we hear mental health, we translate that into mental illness. And so we think that there is something wrong dealing with mental health, which, if we don't, could eventuate into mental illness. Now, how are we going to deal with it? How is just us going to just deal with it?
Yes, that's true. There is so much pressure to uphold this state of perfection, right? But
Okay.
that state of perfection is sending people into dark places and silent. But mental illness and mental health, it comes from education.
Okay.
And that's what Just Us MH Foundation is all about. We are all about educating, having you come out. Let's talk about this. Let's understand from doctors such as yourself that sit on these panel with clinical degrees that can actually speak to what is a mental health breakdown, what is manic depression, what is just a mental health concern. Just because you go to a counselor or you seek therapy doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. Sometimes you just need somebody to talk to other than everybody else that knows you.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. I actually had someone say, well, I don't think it's necessary for me to come to the conference because there's nothing wrong with me. I was like,
Oh,
well, yeah. And my response to him was, well, there was nothing wrong with me when my father died. But because of how tragic it was, I didn't know how to handle my own emotions. I didn't know how to get out of my own head. I didn't know what living beyond that moment felt like anymore. I felt like my life ended when I lost my father, who was my first image of man. And so in that moment, I provided a small segment of education from my perspective
good.
because that's all you can do sometimes. But the biggest thing is that people just don't know. And at these conferences, my goal is to educate and empower our community with knowing the difference between mental health and having a mental health illness, because
Right,
there is a difference.
right. So the education then speaks a lot into to the prevention piece too. I'm supposing, how to deal with this first signs of what could be, and so we don't have to wait till we act out and we're institutionalized, or whether in inpatient or long-term facility, or even in prisons and jails.
Absolutely. Preventative measures is always going to be um, the most important in anything. If I can prevent what I can see coming, then why wouldn't I take advantage of it? I had an individual this weekend that walked up after the conference and said, I actually feel like I need a mental health evaluation. I
Wow.
said, say no more. I directed him to one of the counselors, and he spoke to him. He introduced him, and he said, I need help. That is what I seek from having these conferences, is that people actually have in this moment the permission to just be free. Also, what I love is that despite the many accolades that sit on this panel, that sit in the audience, when we all show up that day, we are just a human being.
Hey, man, that's it.
And that's the most important thing. When you can just become naked and we're all the same, we're all the same right there in that moment, the veils come off, the masks come off. Individuals really feel comfortable sharing and feeling a part of healing. And that's what it's all about.
Yes, absolutely. A mask is how they survived Tracy Williams. Yes,
Yeah.
but but you're absolutely right. It's a survival, but somehow I'm thinking that just us want to get men and their significant other and their family members, the symptom sharers, out from the posture or the position of just surviving. We are strong, and so therefore we survive. But we're also trailblazers, therefore we can create. You understand what I'm saying here? And I think that that's what we really need to be focusing on. And I think I'm getting that in your conference. You teach people how to create, how not to be just creative here, but how to make things happen. Like you, great creative ideas, and look what you turned it into. You just put that, and that's a good thing. I just missed that. There was somebody put something up there while I was talking to you. Taking the mask off shifts you from surviving to, ooh, person is rhyming on us now. What do you think they're saying? Camilla, what do you think this person may be saying?
I can relate to that. 65240, I thank you for that statement. After the loss of my father, it's one thing to think that you're exempt, right? Until it happens to you, you think like, wow, I can't believe that, people are committing suicide at a high rate. But once it happens and it's close to you, you start to pay attention a little bit more, and seeing the levels of what something really is, and how it's really just becoming the thing to do. And so from surviving to thriving, when I lost my father, because I don't know if some people tend to forget that grief is real.
Oh,
It just doesn't go away.
mm,
There's no timetable to it. You don't get to pick it out of the hat and put it back in when you want to. And so there was a part where I had a mask on because I was ashamed to let anyone know that I couldn't make it through. I'm looked at as a strong one, right? I'm strong. I'll get through this. This is natural. It's normal. But it wasn't for me. It actually took me down a dark spiral road where I couldn't see beyond the current moment. I felt like I was suffocating. And
mm.
so I myself took the mask off, and I reached a level and a place of acceptance. I sought out counseling. I sought out therapy. I decided to take back my life. I tell this at almost all my conferences, but When I was right in the thick of my grief, my uncle told me, you have to make a conscious decision whether you want to live alive or live dead. And on that day, during that time period, I decided that I wanted to live alive. So I had to take the mask off, and I had to accept that you are dealing with grief. You have to cry, ugly cry or not. You have to cry. You have to let it out. You have to let out those emotions. You
Mm.
have to go to therapy to get through this grief counseling. I did grief counseling. I sat in and heard stories that was unimaginable, but I reached a place of acceptance. I took the mask off. And once I did that, that allowed me to create Just Us MH Foundation. That allowed me to be on this conference, on this podcast with you and do the conferences that I do, because I made a conscious decision to live. And when I did that, I gave myself permission to understand that grief will come, but I can't let it stay. I have to decide how much time I allow it to hold in my emotions. And that's how I'm able to navigate and move past it. And I like to say that I'm thriving now.
Good.
And yeah, and I've been put on this role where I want to just bring more people with me.
Mm.
You know?
Be the magnet that attracts people, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm and I know you. Oh man, you. Huh, I know you spoke about your dad. You talked about your dad, and I want to reframe something here a second. You know when we took or one of our wedding pictures out of the old frame that it was in, when I put in a new frame, after a while my wife came home, she saw it about 3 or 4 days in. She said, "Wow, is that the same picture?" I said, "Yep." She said, "Oh, it looks so good." Same picture, different frame. Same information, different frame in the head. And the frame that I'm putting out here is this: that if we see all suicide or people taking their lives as a sickness, we might want to consider that people, they might just be tired because they didn't feel that anyone was able and available to understand their load and that they could trust to say, "Carry me. He's not heavy. He is my brother." You know what I'm saying? Sometimes in our life, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. Where am I when that person needs me so they can lean on me? You see, and those are some of the issues that we really need to take. This is why I'm reframing it. Some people just get tired.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't. Most people never looked at someone in their eyes and seen them lose hope. I did.
Mm,
I seen that in my father. That is a dark place when you
mm,
lose hope to the point where you feel like you have nothing else to offer to anybody else in the world. When you can look at all of your children and know that my time has come for me to leave, that is very, very deep and is very, very dark. And it does exist. And we have to, as a people, we have to do a better job of reaching out to our loved ones,
mm.
of listening to our loved ones. Because sometimes people tell you where they are if you're
Yes.
listening. If you're listening. And there's something called effective communication, and it involves listening.
Hmm.
And I think communication has become a lost art in our
Hmm.
community, just from the
Hmm.
various exposures, technology. But we got to get back to the basics, and that's listening, communicating,
Yeah.
and being present, right? Just being present.
Yes.
I wish I had the opportunity to know that my dad was in great danger and moments of despair prior to. There was a very short window that we had. And during that time period, he lost hope. He gave up, and leaving was far greater than staying. I may not ever understand the mindset and the true reasons, but I think it's just like what you said. People get tired.
Hmm.
You get tired. And if you don't have anyone, or you don't have enough in you to wake you up from that dream of leaving, you'll go. And
Yeah.
that's what happens.
Mm. Yeah, though, and see, and a lot of us, you're right, we don't understand that, but and it's important to us because we really cannot get inside of a person's experience of themselves. What we do is we take a look at their behavior and we make assumptions or diagnoses or label them the person based on their behavior. And sometimes we're far away from the truth. So if we can just get away from labeling people and say, I need to find out who is this person, that requires time, though. That requires time. And the other part thought of it, think about that is me taking time to get to know you may mean, and very often it does, that there is going to be something about you that there's about me that I have not dealt with yet. And so I just shy away from that. Have you experienced that with some people?
Well, yeah, I think that's the easiest thing to do, to run away from what looks just like you, right? Uh, when something gives you an indication of who you are, it's easy
Yes.
to shy away from it. I think as a culture, we have to become very mindful of stereotyping, judging, as they said back in the day, judging a book by its cover.
Right, right,
We
right,
have to
right.
be very, very careful with that,
Mm,
because you can be someone's lifeline.
yeah, yeah.
Everyone is equipped with a gift, right? And you could be someone's lifeline to pull them out of something dark, to
Mm,
pull them away from something dangerous. But if you're judgmental first, you can miss your calling
yeah.
on being someone's safety net. And so, yeah, I think it's so important that we take time to really learn each other. Like, let's
Mm,
get back to learning and loving each other just for who you are. No two people are the same.
right.
We're all uniquely different. And
Mm,
so it's important to just get back to loving, learning, gathering in unity. I've had some people say, man, why don't you just make this conference virtual? Right. And one of the reasons why I think it's great for us to come into the presence of each other, because there's an exchange of love that takes place.
yeah, 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 yeah.
If I'm in the room with you, Dr. Kidd, you can tell me you're okay. But if I'm on the phone with you and you tell me you're
Yeah,
okay, if I'm in front of you, I can validate that you're okay.
right.
And I think it's important that we get back into the presence of each other so we can start seeing um, what someone may be experiencing right before our eyes. I can say, you know what, you don't look okay. You want to talk? Let's talk. Let's exchange. Let's be in the presence of each other. Let's be present for each other. Let's communicate. Let's share. It's
Mm,
so many things that's become lost just because we live in a microwave society. The
yeah,
world has taught us that, you know what? You see something, you don't say nothing. You go in your
yeah.
own little closet, you go in your bubble, and you keep to yourself. And now I like when I go in the airport and it says, if you see something, you say something. And I think that needs to be exchanged just in our normal
Yeah,
personal encounters with individuals on a daily basis.
yeah. Thank you for that. Listen, we're going to wind up here in a moment, but I think that sometimes the reason why some people don't hear what you're saying is because they're too busy listening to themselves. You know, I can't hear you because I'm too busy listening to myself. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it is. But if I'm too busy listening to something you said that has struck something in me, and I'm now internalizing and listening to myself, and I'm stuck at that, and stuff for us to basically begin to work through. But yeah, a lot of times when people don't hear what you're saying because they're stuck listening to themselves. Now that's a good thing, and it's not such a good thing.
Absolutely.
It's a good thing sometimes, not such a good thing at all. Oh man. Listen, 65240. Yeah, these conferences sound like an amazing experience. From what you have described, it sounds like a place where a man can open up.
Listen, 65240. It
Is
is.
okay.
It is a great place and space for men to come and be recognized. I always say, out of the 365 days in this year, on this day,
This day.
Black men are heard, They are celebrated. They are recognized. You are not baby daddies. You are kings. We need you. You are the head of our households.
Yes.
Despite what the world say, you know, there's a reason why God created woman, and there's a reason why God created man, and you're necessary.
Yeah.
And so you're right. On these days, you can come and open up. You can be yourself. You can be vulnerable. You can be very naked in the moment. And then you have an opportunity to see other kings share experiences that may be an experience just like yourself. So yes, it is. And I welcome you to definitely attend one when you can.
Yeah, attend, and I have this thing in my head where it'd be nice if a young man would stand and say, I need help like right now. And then what do? We do the African thing. We gather around this man, and complete a circle around him. Just let him just do and say whatever he's got to say, Some, some of those things, I think, oh my goodness. Yeah.
And to your point, Dr. Kidd, I think we have to remember before he becomes a man, he's a boy.
Yeah.
And so we have to take care of our young children. We have to
Amen. Yeah.
into our young boys about the greatness that they are and the greatness that they can become. When that's missed in childhood, those broken boys become very angry men.
Yeah.
And we have to change that story. We have to change that narrative.
Yeah. And that's when we lose. That's when we lose our future. But listen, I've kept you here long enough, but I do want listen. Yeah, I know, but you're so good. It's hard to end, right? But listen. On the 27th, can you speak specific to that conference? Why Birmingham? Why, we know why the conference, and what's your goal for Birmingham and the surrounding places like Huntsville? It's just 90-minute drive away. Pack this place out. Go ahead and talk about that, will you?
Listen, I always get so excited and giddy when I talk about these conferences. You'll think I never did one before. They are so, yes, as you can see, they are so necessary. Look at these kings. They will come, they will share experiences. The questions are always different. The stories are always different. And you have an opportunity to come and just sit amongst men sharing their stories, sharing their testimonies, but also giving advice, giving words of encouragement, sharing resources that are right in your backyard. I encourage every man, whether near or far. You next to Birmingham, you got Montgomery, you have Huntsville, as Dr. Kidd said. Come, let's pack this place out. It will be held at Ramsey High School, which I am told is a staple of Birmingham, Alabama. As you can see, these amazing men. So we have Dr. Kitson Francis as our keynote speaker. We have Dondre Whitfield as a guest speaker, and then we have a host of other amazing kings, as well as our beautiful moderator, Vasir, who will be elevating and edifying the stage on Saturday, April 27, 2024. I truly welcome you to come and join with us and go on this journey with us for healing as we take back the Black man in our community.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, I got to ask this question because I think there are a number of ways that we can be supportive.
Yes.
Financial, not just by our physical presence, but financial. I'm hoping you don't mind. Beg.
Yes.
You know what? Because our Black men deserve it. Listen, as we stabilize the Black man in the home, become stable. As you stabilize the home, the Black people, as you stabilize the Black family, society becomes stabilized. So how can we support you, please?
So I welcome support on our website, www.bmmhc.com. You can go and donate. There's no donation too small and too large. My nephews donated $1 this weekend. So it was amazing. But nothing's free, right? Air is, but even that's sometimes costing us, but nothing is free. And so for us my goal is city to city, state to state, backyard to backyard if I have to. And with the financial support from the community, from organizations, from judicial systems, it allows me to continue to go city to city and state to state, bringing this platform to communities such as Birmingham, Alabama, and bringing more and more Black men, as well as other races of individuals, into one room, and we talk about healing and unity. So support bmmhc.com. There's a link on there where you can donate. It'll come right to us. You can contact us any way you choose. Everyone knows how to give when they're ready to. So we encourage it. We need it. And it's very necessary.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Camilla, and for your time spent here. And thank you, those of you that have been listening. You're here every week. We really do thank you. And if all of our programs are important, but this one is very important. We're asking you to donate, and here's part of the reason we're asking you to donate. It's not just so that the conferences can go on. Thank you so much. Two bites of the best. Thank you so much. Awesome. And they're speaking about you. Energy of the conference is real. I came on one way and came one way and left with so many moments. Yes, yes, yes. And when you do that, it's only not just because the conference is good, not just because the speakers are good, because when you're hungry, when you're starving, some people are just hungry. They need to come starving. They will eat. They will eat. So please come and be a part of this. Here is what I'm going to say this. I'm going to let my guests have the last word. Here's what I'm going to say. You know how they say something happening near you? Well, it's happening right where you are. Okay. So you need to come, because the content of this and every other conference that Ms. Harris has put on is guaranteed to have a positive impact on you, and may even save your life or the lives of somebody you know. So won't you please give? Be your brother's keeper. Carry them. They're not so heavy. Be available for them to lean on you. And it just goes on and on and on. Okay. Yes, indeed. We are the world. We are the people. That's what the song says. We are the world. We are the people. One little bit at a time can go. Let's lay one brick at a time. Come on. Go ahead, Camilla. You have the last word of this, okay?
Yeah, and I'll say this one other thing, Dr. Kidd, that I forgot to say. With the sponsorship and the funding from others, we have an opportunity to be a financial support to someone that cannot afford the mental health services. So it's very, very important for that as well. But I say this, we are living in a time, Martin Luther King would say that riots are the voice of the unheard. It's sad to say that mental health has become the new riot, and we have to change that. It is so important that we come together as a community and we erase and destigmatize the fact that suicide is the way to go. The fact that not seeking help is shied away from. Let's encourage a community where being mentally healthy is just as amazing as being physically healthy. Let's learn to love more. Let's come together more. Let's share in unity. Let's be the safe space for anyone to land. And join us at any and all conferences that you can. I really sincerely appreciate this opportunity. I look forward to having you at the conference, being our keynote speaker. I know, yes, I know people are going to walk away full, and that's always the opportunity. You come hungry and you leave full. And I'm just excited. I'm grateful that I was obedient and I've carried out this mission that God has specifically created for me. And I'm forever grateful. And I thank you all. And I look forward to seeing all of you. Tell someone, share it with someone, bring someone.
Bring someone.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I have nothing but, listen, that's it. That's it right there. Thank you so much. Camilla, Ali, friend, all of that. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing you and all those other great people that will be there, from the listeners to the presenters. I am coming to learn, to learn, to learn. I'm coming there to be a conduit so that I can just be spouting things out to other people. I'm really looking for that. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Okay. I really do. Thank you. Okay. So thank you so much. There we have it. Thank you for hanging in there with us. What a wonderful show. We had a wonderful, beautiful, talented young lady who is blazing the trail to save our community through one man at a time, one person at a time to save our community. Okay, so please, April 27th, Birmingham, Alabama. Okay, and we're looking forward to see as many people as possible. I will be there, so and I'm looking forward to seeing the Black Men's Mental Health Conference. I will certainly be there, God willing, and me able. I will be there to just hang out with some great people. That's all I'm going to say. Hang out with some great people. So thank you all so much. Okay. Ramsey High School, thank you so much. And then listen, on this Friday, we'll be boarding our plane, headed down to the big Houston in Texas. They say everything big down in Texas, So hey, listen, we're going to this big Houston, Texas, okay? And we'll be at the Hyatt Regency, Houston West. All right, it's 13210. Okay. Katie High Freeway, Houston, Texas. Okay, so please come on down. Again, my wife and I will be down there as a part of a brunch. We'll be just doing what God has asked us to do, and we're not ashamed and we're not bashful. So please come on out, or if you can't, if you're listening wherever you're listening in the country, if you're in some close proximity, just come on down and just be there with us. Okay, so thank you so much. May God bless you, and me willing and God able, I will see you again next week. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. And we're looking forward to that. And if you'd like to be considered for a part of the show, just contact my team, drkidspeaks@gmail.com, and we'll get you on. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Be good. God bless.